I kind of begrudgingly respect just the dedication to not getting better at what you do for a living. Just coast through life.
It probably shouldn't even happen.
If you got it, you got to flaunt it, Acid.
You know what? I got a lot of stuff that I don't want to flaunt, and so I just keep it to myself.
Jeremy is really big into the used mattresses. Excellent deal.
He has a used mattress store on the side.
I'm not going to pull the pants down without the pants down cue.
And we found out that Anthony's friends are all 13-year-old boys. Nice.
Clay, how you doing?
Doing a little more poorly after that terrible introduction. I was just fine, to be honest with you.
Hello, Sci-Fi Gangsters. This is the show where we talk about science fiction, video games, and comic books, but really it's just an excuse for me to catch up with my friends and to meet interesting people. I'm Anthony Denar, media scholar and person who's looking forward for 2021 to be done, right? And 2022 to be the exact same thing, right? We're already starting over to where we began. It's going to be a fun year, this 2022. But today, we're not talking about the new year. We're talking about the Matrix Resurrections. I almost said the wrong one. I almost said it. Resurrections, Matrix Resurrections. We're going to review the movie here today. We have our thoughts, right? We have a great panel of people here today to talk about that show. But first, of course, you can always listen to us on YouTube in video format. We're also streaming live on Twitch. Also, there's a podcast version of us, and apparently people are listening to the podcast version. I don't know why, but they are. Listens are going up, so that's fantastic. So definitely check us out on Spotify as well, or wherever you get your podcasts. Apparently, Spotify now has video. We could just post the video on Spotify now, and you can watch the video on Spotify. I heard that in an advertisement. I don't know if it's true, so we'll just kind of figure that out as we go along. Sure. So definitely check us out in all kinds of different formats. But once again, today we're talking about the Matrix Resurrections today. But first, let's get to our panel of people here today. First, we'll start off with perhaps we need to promote to actually co-host of the show, considering she has been on the show so many times to fill in. Lindsay, how you doing?
I'm good. Holidays are wrapping up. I have been more than a couple drinks in, so we're just gonna see how it goes tonight.
Well, fantastic. Nice. I also have my double White Claw Surge here. I'm going to be enjoying that throughout the episode, so definitely looking forward to that as well. But Lindsay, always good to have you on the show, and of course, definitely good to have you. All right, excellent. Let's move on to our next person here. We have MD Soul. You can check him out on Twitch and all the other social media platforms as well. MD, how you doing?
I am stinking awesome, brother. I'm living a good life. My hand is healed up. Last time we talked, my hand was all ate up, but I am almost completely healed. I'm doing well. I'm just happy this is the last day of the year, my friend.
Fantastic. Now, last time we had you on the show, you had some sort of I believe it was a cast or some sort of
No, I'm in the Army. They don't give us that type of stuff. They give you a bunch of pills and say, get over it.
I do remember that you got hurt. You were playing basketball, the old leather BB, call it, right? Shooting the Jays.
Right. And I definitely wasn't Prince. I wasn't shooting the J. It wasn't the Chappelle show. And I fell down, hurt my hand, and don't play any athletic sports on concrete after the age of 30. I would even say 28.
I agree with that statement.
So just enough to make sure your kids don't beat you at anything, but other than that,
you're good.
Well, it's definitely good to have you, and it's good that your wrists are fully healed up, right? Yeah. Excellent. Good to hear. Yeah. Up next is our next guest here today is Carrie Folks. Carrie, it's been a while since we have you on the show, but definitely good to have you here. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm so ready for this year to be over, and we can perhaps start fun things next year. We'll see.
Now, Carrie, last time we had you on, we did a review show with you. I believe we talked about the zombie movie. I already forgot the name of the title. What was the name of the title that we did?
Was it The New Dawn of the Dead?
It was the Zack Snyder zombie film.
Yeah.
It was
I was
horrible.
mad at you
It's a horrible
for
film.
making me watch that. I was really upset with you.
Are we going to have the same opinions on the Matrix Resurrections? Are we going to? I don't know.
Quite
We'll find it. You'll
Oh.
find out today. And of course, the producer of the show. We couldn't do this show quite literally. We could not do this show because I'm not going to figure out how to do all this. We could not do this without Acidtrain. How you doing?
I'm doing phenomenal, man. It has been a great day. I've streamed over 10 hours today. I literally ended the stream and started this thing, and I'm gonna have I'm actually gonna stream immediately after this for a New Year's Eve special. So we're having a good time. So it's Halo all night, baby. It's Halo all night.
Now, me and Acid, of course, have been getting a lot of bonding time together. We've been playing. Now, this is the first time that me and Acid ever really played video games together. Now he's a PC guy.
We played NCAA together when you were.
Oh, that's right. A long time ago.
Yeah.
That was a very, very long time ago, right?
Yeah, that was a long time ago. But yeah, we
Before
did that. But now we've been playing some Halo. It's been nice.
Definitely having a lot of fun playing Halo, getting that teamwork going, right? Going after that gravity hammer.
That's
That energy sword.
That's right.
Right?
CJ.
That I'm telling you,
CJ knows.
that grapple hook shot with the energy sword is broken. Like that is just
it is.
Yeah,
it is the most
so
satisfying.
much fun though. It's so great.
It is fun. It is so fun. All right, excellent. So good. So let's go ahead and get to our show here today. Like we do every episode, we catch up with each other first. Now, it's been a while since we've done an episode. We did several of those, board game episodes that we did. Lindsay, you were a part of one of those, right?
Mhm.
We played a board game, had a lot of fun. But this is our first show in a long time. So we like to catch up with each other. We talk about what's new. And of course, I have so much to talk about, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to focus on one thing. And yes, I have to show my hot toy. I got to show this baby.
Hang on, let me zoom in.
This is phenomenal, right? Look at that. That's
look at the
Robert Downey
details.
Jr. in my house. So this actually thing. This is just a quick little 10-second review of this thing. It's actually pretty heavy. Like it's got some good weight to it.
There you go.
It's die-cast plastic combination here.
It's all you right now. Go ahead.
It's got like some attachments there you can kind of put, and of course it's got batteries in here, so it lights up. The only thing that's annoying about this is in order to light him up, I have to take things off and turn all the switches on and put them back on, and then just show them.
So you have to take his clothes off to turn them on.
Most certainly.
Nice. Well done, CJ. Well done.
I guess
You're welcome.
I'll do this. I'll
Thank
take
you for
off
that.
his back.
And that's why you're my favorite streamer. That's
All right, so here you go. So as you can see here, he lights up a little bit. I did have to take his back off just to get that part, but he's got lights all over him. But really, it's this face sculpture. This is why I'm so obsessed with
Because
Hot
it kind of
Toys.
favors you a little bit there.
Oh, he does look a bit. Just kind of look a bit right there. Just like
Yeah, I think you're more handsome, but it is what it
Thank
is.
you. So thank you, MD. Thank you. This is
don't
what I
give him
want.
a bigger head than he's already
I'm
got.
telling you, this is
Okay.
why we have MD on the show.
You gotta help him, man.
You
Nobody's
gotta-
give him no
yeah,
props.
there
I
you
gotta
go.
give him
And
some
this
props.
one is another prized
Oh,
possession
there's another
here.
one. Hang on.
This is my in-game Thor hot toy, coming with both his hammer and axe there. But very happy with this purchase. I actually waited a year for this Thor to come.
Nice. Oh my
But there you
goodness.
go. So I'm pretty excited about both of those to join my Captain America action hot toy back there. If you're not familiar with hot toys, they're actually very expensive.
They're very hot.
And they take a
Yes.
long time to get to your house once you order them. So
Except for Iron Man.
the Iron Man was quick. Apparently he was kind of already in stock, so I was like, you know what? All I gotta do is throw down this $420, and he'll be in
Iron Man
my
is
house.
a loser and nobody wants him. That's why.
Okay, well, fantastic. There you go.
Mm.
But
So you're gonna pick fights today too, Acid.
But the hot toys came in. I'm pretty excited, but I'm already looking at the next ones. I saw there's a Batman Superman combination that I'm looking at right now. I don't know. Maybe I need to But anyway, so definitely excited about that. That's all I want to talk about today. I'm going to
Okay.
talk about my.
And we can end the show. All right. Fantastic.
That's it, you guys.
Let's go ahead and we'll move on to MD Soul. MD, what's new?
I got a few things there. So, well, I want to start off first with the one thing that I was extremely excited about. A friend of mine came up with his own card-based game. It's called Mermaid Mayhem, and he has it on Kickstarter, and it
Really?
just got into the mail
Oh,
right there.
Wow.
And
Okay.
it's tons of fun. I liked it. He drew it all himself. Each one of the
Nice.
cards, it's just freaking amazing. I love it. His name is Daniel Hooker Art. He's on Twitch. He's on YouTube. He's on all that stuff. So that's one thing. The next thing, I'm in the halfway part of my mobilization. So I'm almost done with being away from the wife and kids and all that good stuff. And then the holidays, that was okay. I was by myself, but that's fine. Sometimes it's a good thing to be by yourself because it makes the heart grow fonder of your family. Sometimes you're like, yo, I'm tired of the kids, but I actually miss them. So what I'm doing when I get for January when I visit home is we're going to the Royal Rumble with
Oh,
WWE
that's right.
St. Louis, Missouri. I'm super excited about that. So I can do the countdown with my kids.
Nice.
I'm all about the experiences with the kids right now. And then I'm trying to think, is there anything else major that has happened? It's just a whole bunch of movies. Just seeing
MD,
the-
so if you're a wrestling fan, I have to ask you, because one thing recently that I've been kind of getting really into recently is AEW and everything
Yes.
AEW is doing.
AEW
Are you a
's
fan
great.
of AEW? Are you a fan of anything, all the stuff they're doing?
Absolutely. All right. And here's the reason why, because they're making wrestling great again. So and I'm being a little
Make
funny
wrestling
there,
great again.
but it's like they are one of the best shows out there.
Well, there we go. Got drum impression going on.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So AEW. I'm going to say it real fast so we don't get too far down the rabbit hole, because I can talk about wrestling all day freaking long. But it's good. It's good competition. For every McDonald's, you need a Burger King. For every Pizza Hut, you need a Domino's. And WWE didn't have competition for a very long time. And AEW is that competition that they need. However, they need to do a little bit more homegrown type things like MJF and a couple other guys that are Kenny Omegas and stuff like that, instead of grabbing all these WWE guys, because it's like, I don't want the same product. I want a different product altogether, because that's why I'm coming here. That's why you don't have the Big Mac over there at Burger King. You have the Whopper instead.
That's right.
So, it's
So
kinda my
I was
take.
recently introduced to MJF. Obviously when CM Punk came over to AEW, I was like, okay, I'm gonna start watching this.
Mhm.
And I started getting introduced to all these like Darby Allin, which I'm
Yeah.
not really that big fan of Darby Allin. But anyways, but MJF, my goodness,
He is by far the best.
fantastic.
Best, like he's like, I thought, like, I'm a fan of anybody that's a heel, and The Miz is one of my favorites. Randy Orton, Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels, heel version of Shawn Michaels. I'm just a fan of heels. MJF has nuclear heat on him. I mean, he's playing it so well. Even his parents has "my son is an asshole" signs when they come to the shows. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy's freaking amazing. I love to hate him. I thoroughly enjoy hating him. And
I don't even hate him.
that's kind of
I don't even hate him.
Right. It's just, you're just doing like Rick Rude. Rick Rude was just look at me, look at your husband. Don't you wish your husband was me type stuff. He wore Macho Man Randy Savage's wife's face on his crotch. It was airbrushed. It bring a lot of heat, and MJF is doing very similar stuff, and I love it.
Yeah, fantastic, excellent. I'm glad I got to talk about somebody about AEW, because I don't really have a lot of people to talk to about AEW, but recently
you can come talk to me anytime you want to. We can go back and forth all day.
Well, fantastic, excellent. Let's go ahead and get to Carrie. Carrie, what's new with you?
Not a whole lot. I finished my master's this past summer.
Nice. Dude,
Great.
Congratulations.
Welcome to the club. Let's go.
That's awesome.
Thank you. I plan to put it to work, hopefully, in the near future. I've been writing a lot. I used to write a whole lot. Now I'm writing. with all this free time I have, writing
Tons of free time. That's all you get.
tons of it. So I'm thinking this year, well, next year, well, in a couple of hours, gonna release a book. Hopefully,
Okay.
Oh.
Nice.
Fantastic.
Now, will that be a children's book?
no, I would.
Oh,
not
not a
say
children's
I
book.
would
Okay.
read.
Well, that's good.
Read what I write. Yeah. So just mainly a collection of short stories, poems, stuff like that.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I actually got an idea from a friend of mine who wants me to voice record some of her fan fiction. So we're gonna jump into that.
Type of
So,
fan fiction.
Yeah.
again, not for children. Fan fiction.
Not a children's book, CJ.
Not a children's book.
Good.
So,
Excellent.
go ahead and promote the where can we get this book?
Yeah, we'll see it.
Well, it'll be on Amazon.
Really? Okay,
Everything
nice.
will be attached to my name, Carrie Folks. So whatever social
After the
media-
show, you guys, you'll be able to click that link in the description after Anthony throws it on there. So make sure you send all that stuff to Anthony. We'll get all that stuff in the description below as soon as the video goes repeat. So yeah, for sure.
Exactly,
Fantastic. Excellent. Well, good to have you on, Carrie. We'll get your opinion on Matrix Resurrections here in a second. Up next, we have Lindsay. Lindsay, what's new?
Not a whole lot. I guess since we were showing off stuff, I will say I got a gift from a friend that I am absolutely in love with. So I don't collect the really expensive stuff. I collect Funko Pops. Specifically,
Oh, those are really cool.
Nice.
You got me excited.
female character Funko Pops and horror Funko Pops. However, this is the first that doesn't match either of my collections, and it's too cute. It's Steve Irwin.
Steve
Oh.
Irwin, nice.
Wow.
Oh, and it's like not coming through because of the zoom filter. But Steve Irwin with Sue, the dog, because you see him with the gators all the time. But
Oh,
if
yeah.
anybody watched like Steve Irwin, that dog was on like every single episode.
Bro.
Yeah.
And so it was a gift that I'm putting on a nice like premiere spot on my shelf now. And it's nice to remember the Irwins sometimes. One of those nice
Indeed.
wholesome things that a lot of us grew up with or spent time with. But other than that, I will say that the the board game thing that you had me on a week or two ago has prompted me to buy that game.
Oh,
It's
wow.
not here
Okay.
yet, but
Wow,
I did buy
okay.
it. It was funny enough, and it was easy enough to pick up that like I can give it to other friends. And
Yeah,
other
the
than that-
Sheriff Nottingham is one of those games where it's fun when you play with serious gamers, but it's also fun playing with just like your friends and family because
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
a very
Mhm.
simple concept.
yeah,
Like
and
Settlers of Catan is like that too.
Yes.
since a lot of my friends
indeed.
are really into tabletop RPG, that's where most of my friends are originated from. We became better friends after that. Like we like to bullshit each other a lot, and so it's a good game to see how well we can read each other at this point.
Nice.
But yeah, other than that, most of my games have been on a holiday break, but we're starting back up here this coming week really strong. And this I'll have 4 or 5 tabletop role-playing games that I'll be playing and streaming regularly by the end of January. And then other than that, I'm gotten sucked back into fucking Assassin's Creed Valhalla. That's like a never-ending game, I swear to God. Every time I think I'm done, there's more stuff coming out because there's another giant DLC coming out.
Odyssey
very
or
shortly.
Valhalla? Which is your go-to? Which is
Valhalla.
better? Really? See,
Yeah.
I would go with Odyssey.
Well,
What? Black
I
Flag. Get out of here.
No, please.
I
No,
do
Black
like
Flag.
Black Flag.
Black
But for
Flag's
me, it's
freaking awesome.
like
Odyssey's the
Valhalla, then Origins, then Black Flag. To me, Greek and Roman is
see,
just like so
Up your
overdone.
Acidtrain.
Nope. Y'all are both wrong. Look, Assassin's Creed Odyssey was the best Assassin's Creed in the entire series.
Have you played the crossover mission for Valhalla yet?
Not yet. I have them both, but I haven't played the crossover yet.
Yeah, so they just introduced that, and then they're preparing for a massive, like absolutely massive DLC that's going to be coming out here shortly. That's Ragnarok, I think. And so I decided to go back and like kind of start replaying some portions of it to try to remember what's going on. And that game is such a time sink. I forgot. I mean,
They're all time sinks. Yeah.
It's an enjoyable one. I don't realize how much time has passed while I am playing it, but good lord.
They need a Grand Theft Auto, Assassin's Creed crossover to get you that much sucked in.
Oh, God.
Oh, my goodness. That'd be an
no.
amazing game.
No.
All right.
Yeah, that's what's been going on with me.
Excellent. A little bit of debate on what the best Assassin's Creed franchise or whatever, not episode. Installment.
They're games.
Anthony is speechless
Installment
now.
was the name.
Installment. Okay.
Well, what do you think? Post your comment below. All right, so moving on to Acid. What's new with you?
Oh, man. Well, if you'll just give me about 45 minutes, I can tell you exactly what's right. No, okay, I won't do that to you. I have also received an amazing holiday gift, which was Sheriff of Nottingham as well. My youngest daughter, who is 10, absolutely loves this game. She is addicted to this game, and not only is she addicted to that game, but she's also addicted to Munchkin. She loves Munchkin. So we have been playing Munchkin, and we've only played a couple of games of Sheriff, but the family loves it. We've been having a good time with it. But other than board games, I have purchased, because it came out about a week and a half ago for PC, Final Fantasy VII Remake, which... that's a whole nother episode in itself.
Yes, absolutely.
To give you my quick review, graphics, amazing. Score, like the musical score, absolutely great. All the little bonus, I would say bonus. I would call them stretching out the backstory. Fantastic.
Yes.
I love the stretching out of the backstory. I will give you the two major issues I have with this game. One, the battle system blows.
Boom. Thank you.
The battle system blows, and the summon materia blows because I can't use it whenever I want to. So everything else is amazing with this game. Like, voiceovers are great. Like, they did a fantastic job with the voice actors and all that stuff. The battle system is absolute hot garbage. So
the question is, with you disliking the battle system, will you get future remakes?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the story is that good.
I'm hoping they change it. This is what I'm hoping for Final Fantasy VII Remake. I'm assuming we're on disc 1, okay? Disc 2, if they want to, and now I haven't finished it yet. So I got the Epic launcher version. So I got the Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate. So I haven't played the Wutai stuff yet with Yuffie and all that stuff. So I don't know if that system is the same or not. What I'm hoping, crossing my fingers, is with either Disc 2 or Disc 3, because you know how Square Enix loves to change up their battle systems and all kinds of stuff. I'm hoping they'll just... with the grind, because how Disc 1 was so linear with everything, and there's not a whole lot of exploration and stuff with it. I'm hoping...
kind of go back to the Final Fantasy 15 style of...
I'm really hoping they'll just go back to, like, turn-based, menu system.
That would be really nice.
At the end, like, if that's the case, I'm okay with it. Like, I'm not mad at this, and honestly, the battle system on this one would be so much better if I could zoom out my camera about 3 times as much. Because I can't see anything. Like, I can't enjoy it. But
they thought they were going to do like dot hack, and it's just not.
Yeah, that. And they're just not doing it. Like, even a Star Ocean, like, that would have been okay. Yeah. But they didn't, and
I'm see Star Online.
Very, very disappointed in the battle system on this one. So,
well, fantastic. Acid is he's disappointed with the battle system. Final Fantasy's kids are addicted to Sheriff of
But
Nottingham. I'm
I
addicted
have-
to love.
But I have maxed out my Halo Battle Pass. So
Hey,
join us. Join us,
Good
Anthony,
job.
in maxing out the Halo
Good
Battle
job.
Pass.
First of all, you stepped on my joke. I'm addicted to love,
Oh.
so I'm not going to accept that.
Yeah.
It was a solid addicted to love joke. Might as well face it. Anyway,
Might as well face it.
well, we'll go ahead and move on to very quickly my favorite segment of the show, and arguably everybody else's least favorite segment of the show, and that is this meme funny?
Is this meme funny?
Okay.
I sent the memes to everybody. Lindsay, you also have the meme as well, right?
Okay.
Mhm.
And here's the rule of the show. Someone has to explain the meme for our listeners. What the meme right now? Which one are we doing right now, Acid?
I will explain this one. This is the Ben Affleck J-Lo meme. Okay, I'm going to explain this the only way I know. They can't see you, by the way. That I only know how to explain this. So the meme, and for the audible people, is J-Lo and Ben Affleck. Of course, Ben Affleck is whispering into J-Lo's ear, "I ordered some more hot toys." And then right below it, it's J-Lo looking very upset that this happened. And Ben Affleck kind of looking away. But anyway, so this meme is I would call it a close to home meme.
It is.
This would be a close to home meme for Anthony because, now they can see you, Anthony, with all of the daggum toys that he has ordered, such as his Iron Man, as he's showing right now, his Thor that he has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I definitely have that same problem. I have constantly on my stream, I do shopping with the community, and I'm always like, don't tell my wife.
Yeah, you are.
Moments,
So how many?
And,
let me ask you, CJ, how many fight sticks do you actually own? Give me a number.
I'm in the upper teens right now.
Upper teens, so close to 20.
And I'm almost willing to say I'm saying that now because I think it's really 23, but I'm gonna say it's upper teens.
You got your hot sticks. I got my hot toys. Hot sticks. You have your fight sticks. I have
Right.
Please
What's
not be
a
hot
hot
sticks. There are no hot sticks here.
I mean, it all lines up. Hot sticks, hot toys. I mean, potato.
all the same.
It's all the same. And so I told my wife, I'm like, either you let me buy this stuff, or I'm out there in them streets entertaining all those ladies out there that are easily entertained. So entertain me at home, or I'm gonna entertain in the streets. And she's like, I want neither. I'm like, you got to pick one.
All right, so MD, we'll go ahead and start with you. Is this meme funny? Yes or no?
Yes, and because this is definitely something that I will text my wife, and followed by an audio voice text to her because I have iPhone, and the text, all it is and that's it. And she immediately calls me and is like, "Don't send me that crap again." And so
Okay.
yes, it's hilarious because I know how to trigger my wife.
There's one vote for funny. Lindsay, we're going to you. Is this meme funny?
Not particularly.
Fair enough.
No.
Excellent. There's one vote for no, one vote for yes. Carrie, is this meme funny?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Wow.
it's funny, but
All right.
not the hot toy specifically. I just sub out what I buy, which is basically K-pop albums.
Oh yeah.
So,
By the way, if I hear one more of that K-pop song in that YouTube advertisement for Google, I am going to stab myself in the eye. Am I the only one that gets that commercial every time I go onto YouTube?
I have YouTube Prime.
Yeah,
so
I do too. So I don't watch ads on YouTube.
I'm telling you.
Step your game up.
You need to pay your extra money and
You gotta
not watch
pay your
that
extra
crap.
money, man.
Fair enough.
he's
fair
buying the
enough.
hot toys.
That's your own fault.
You know where my money's going.
He's
all
buying
going
the
to hot toys.
Excellent. All right, so Acid, is this meme funny?
It's only funny because it's you, okay? That is the only reason it's funny. Because I
Right,
think
very-
every other text I get is, I just ordered another Marvel superhero. And I think,
we need
it
these
all
things posted on Twitter because
It
I don't
is.
see. Do you post this on Twitter?
I posted on Instagram and
It's on
Facebook.
Instagram.
but
Oh,
that's it.
okay. So, all right, I got you on Twitter. I don't got you on. Okay. All
I
right.
have him.
I'll start posting all my hot toys on Twitter. from now on.
Don't worry, CJ. I get it all on text message. So
Oh, you hey,
Fantastic.
I will send you my phone number so I can see it also.
Fantastic.
I don't get
All
a
right,
lot
let's
of
go ahead
Facebook notifications from Anthony, but the ones that
You're
I
welcome.
have gotten in recent has been about that fucking action.
gosh.
She's
Oh,
that you're upset.
Candace is here. Your wife is here.
Yeah. She's probably like, "Ugh."
She
So
just heard you talk about buying all your fights.
Yeah,
your
I
hot
blame
sticks.
it on the kids. That's the good thing about having 3 sons. I just blame it on them. I'm like, oh, it's for them. I'm like, hey,
all for
son,
them.
watch this. No, it's not your turn yet. Let me show you something.
It's okay.
By the way, this was my wife's idea because she keeps saying, "Why you keep buying all this cheap stuff? Just save your money and buy the big stuff."
Like,
Okay.
all right,
is that not the big stuff?
I'm not gonna be disobedient to you, babe.
It's true. All right, let's move on to the next meme. That one was certified funny. This next meme is this. Who wants to describe this one? Anyone? MD, you want to describe this one?
I think so. So I'll quickly go over this real fast. The 3 stages of life. So the first one we have Wolverine. First relating to was Wolverine. It's the angry phase, right? Then you have the second phase relating. That's Cyclops, and then you have the third relating to Magneto. So there's this is how I take this one, right? So you have Wolverine, you're young. I wouldn't say naive per se, because Wolverine is a naive guy, but you're really, really aggressive, right? You're a really, really aggressive dude, and you're really green and you're just ambitious, right? And then you start learning things as Cyclops. And as Cyclops, he's very well-rounded. He plays by the rules. He says, "Hey, I'm for mutants," but then there's the other side of good. There's a hey, I'm gonna kill a spider, but at the same time, I understand that I need spiders because their webs catch bugs. That's Magneto. So he's the other side of saying, "Hey, mutants are." Mutants are a good thing, but we need to let the world know that we as mutants are better than you. But that's not the way you should look at it. And as adults, as I'm adulting here, I feel the same way. There's a more sinister look on life, and I'm not as optimistic as Cyclops anymore. I'm a little bit more sinister, like Magneto. So would I say this meme is funny? I think they missed the mark just a little bit there. But I can see some humor, but for me, it missed it.
All right, very good. Lindsay, is this meme funny?
Yeah, I don't know that it's funny, but it's relatable. I think
Right.
is where it is.
Yes.
And then, that's you have like 2 flavors of memes. You have the memes that are made to be funny, and then you have the
Yes.
memes that are made to be relatable. And so I think this one's in that second category.
Yeah,
Very
I'm
good.
with you on that.
Excellent. Carrie, is this meme funny?
Oh, no, I think Lindsay's right. It's very relatable. Yeah, it's very relatable. You start off with that, oh, life is one way, and then you live through 2020.
Doesn't even matter if you're an adult yet. You just live through
Right.
2020.
Right, exactly. Most
All
babies
right.
came out with gray hair.
Acid, is
That
this
else
meme
was
funny?
right.
Is this meme funny? No. It's also not relatable for me. So, I live my life carefree.
So you're saying you're not young and rebellious at one point, and then you start getting older, and you side more with Cyclops because he's the leader
No.
and he has responsibilities, and then you get to a certain age where you're just like, I just want to kill everybody.
Yeah, no,
Is that,
I don't follow that at all.
Acidtrain is a hippie, and the only reason why he has clothes is because this is live and people can see him.
That's true. I buy gaming clothes. That's it. and failing gaming clothes, by the way.
Right.
That's even more. That's more hipster. That's more
Right.
gaming history.
I've got my
Right.
dude. I had so much high hopes for Fallout 76, and it turned out
I
to
think
bomb.
a lot of
so
people did.
we did, and I bought this shirt before the game came out. So that's shows you
All
how
right.
hipster I am.
It's not as bad as Cyberpunk, but we're not going to go
Well,
there.
that
that's
concludes-
fair.
That concludes our favorite segment of the show. As is this meme funny? Where we waste
Least favorite.
10 minutes looking at some really bad memes. All right, so let's move on to the final segment of the show. The segment that everybody came here to listen to. Probably, I don't know.
Yep. Hot or
Maybe you
not?
came-
Here we go.
Maybe you came for my humor, like the addicted to love joke that I did before. Look, I bring the funny, right? So today our segment is Matrix Resurrections. Is it the greatest movie of all time? Is it the worst movie of all time? Is it somewhere in between? We'll go ahead and talk about that. So the way that we'll be structuring this discussion, this conversation, it's not a debate. No one's trying to win or lose. We're all on the same team here, right? So we're gonna have a conversation about the Matrix Resurrections. So what we'll do is we'll each take a turn. We'll mention 3 things that we want to talk about. It could be 3 things we liked. It could be 3 things that we didn't like. It could be a mixture of the combination there. But that's kind of how we'll order this. We'll structure, right? It's the framework. Acid.
That's fair.
Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and begin.
Frame it.
I'll go ahead and begin with my number 1, and I want to start off with something that intrigued me about Matrix Resurrections. Do I feel like it was successful? No, in terms of what intrigued me about it. But what I did definitely enjoy at the beginning of the film was the meta commentary, right? I get it. I understand sort of like the fun jabs at, we're referencing the Matrix in the film. We're referencing the fact that Warner Brothers wants to make a sequel when the creator doesn't want to make a sequel. I get it. That's kind of fun, right? They're continually showing clips from the first Matrix as this sort of like meta commentary on sort of like the pressure of making sequels. And I was kind of getting into it a little bit. At first I was like, is this just a parody of the Matrix? Is the director, obviously the director is the same director who directed all 3, or one of the directors that directed all 3 of the Matrix films. So when I was watching,
Technically, it's not.
What was that?
He changed himself, so technically
Right,
it's not.
It was a gender swap,
Yeah,
right?
so
Exactly.
it's not the same person technically.
So technically, it's not the same. I guess you could say that. But anyway, so what I did like about the beginning of the film, and I did hear a lot of negative reviews about the film. So when I was watching the first hour, I was like, wait, is this film actually going to be really good? Like, is it going to be one of those films where it's making a commentary on sort of like the pressures of having to make a sequel that you don't want to make? Like, is she purposely making a bad film as sort of like this meta commentary? And I was kind of getting into it. I was like, okay, this could be sort of interesting if this is the direction you want to go. And then halfway through, she abandons it, right? And then it becomes just a normal sequel to The Matrix. What would have been really interesting is if The Matrix actually wasn't real. Then that would have been far more interesting of a film. People would have hated it. I know. People would have hated it. But could you imagine if the director had the guts to make a film where, hey, no, The Matrix was never real and this guy's just crazy?
Like Batman, that Batman story.
That would have been a very unpopular film, but it would have been far more interesting than the film that we got, in my opinion. So halfway through, the director completely abandons that idea, and it does become sort of like this generic sequel, sort of like this reboot / continuing of a story that already had an ending, but we're going to go ahead and just have this story where they're remade because we want them to come back. There was a lot of things that I did like at the end, but I will say one of the things that I did find so intriguing about the film is like the beginning, where like it was like this meta commentary on, mentioning the Matrix, mentioning Warner Brothers, like all this kind of stuff, kind of almost like it was like a parody and taking jabs at the audience. I thought that was kind of interesting. And if the director would have continued that, I think it would have been a far more interesting film. Or just don't do it. Like, if you want to do a sequel, if you want to do like a reboot, do the reboot. Don't give us all this kind of cutesy stuff unless you want to go like all in with the cutesy stuff. So that's kind of my first thing I want to talk about there with the Matrix Resurrections. All right, so we'll go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, MD. You have something to say?
So all right. So I guess this is where we get this arguing and stuff, because I don't think it was that. To me, the movie was a love letter to the fans. You know, if you're not a fan of the Matrix, then you're not going to enjoy it. So this is where I bring my Star Wars reference in here, because if you really think about what Star Wars is, it has a whole lot of plot holes. It's a sci-fi fantasy that, you know, people just latched onto because of nostalgia. That's why the Phantom Menace and all those other prequels, they were just like, the reception of those prequels were like, especially Jar Jar Binks. Nobody likes Jar Jar Binks. So now you come to the Matrix. If you're a Star Wars fan and you're knocking the Matrix, get out of here. Because people like myself, that's like, yo, I'm all in. You know, it's a sci-fi show, but it's not about space, but it's still sci-fi. I picked the Matrix over Star Wars any day. So for me, they wrote me a love letter and saying, hey, I appreciate you and thank you very much. I do understand all the meta and all the other references, but they pulled in a whole lot of things that made me go, yes, thank you. I'll leave it right there until we go on to the next part. So, in your face, Lindsay.
So we'll go ahead and we'll make this MD's segment too. So if does anyone want to sort of like reply to what MD say?
I want to hear what he has to say next.
Yeah, go ahead, MD. Yeah,
I want to hear your number one. Let's hear it.
So my biggest thing on this is that it's a setup, you know. I really enjoy. There was a lot of dialogue in the front part. Now the thing, and that's really my number one of the part that I did dislike about the movie, even though I enjoyed it, because the Matrix isn't super duper heavy in dialogue. So there was a whole bunch of building of characters and really catching you up just in case you didn't go and revisit all the Matrix movies. So there was a lot of buildup that was there when really I think the focus shouldn't have been on Neo. It should have been on the what's her name? I'm
Trinity.
Right. No. Young lady with blue hair.
Bugs.
Bugs. Bugs. Yes. The focus should have been on her and telling the story of how she found Neo. He emerges. And then right off the bat, they start, you know, kicking butt, you know, because that's how the original movie started. It's like, all right, here's the setup. All right, pow, 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 pow. Now we're doing the thing. There was 2 fight scenes technically. I'm not want to give away the movie just in case some of the audience hasn't seen the movie. But
we'll go spoilers. This will be full spoilers. Go ahead and go spoilers.
Okay, yeah, so you know you have the fight scene in the beginning with Bugs. I don't count that. You know, that's not really a fight scene. Again, it's nostalgia. It's a revisit, and they're just giving you bits and pieces to catch you up. Hey, this isn't Trinity. This isn't that. All right, so it's like, cool. That's what's up. And then we have the classic, you know, Morpheus versus Neo fight, and a revisit to that. It's like half of a fight, you know. That doesn't count. And then you just had this one big fight, and shoot, it was closer to more towards the end of the movie where that big fight was, and then they stopped fighting altogether. And I was like, well, that's the reason why I love the Matrix so much, is because of the new scenes. But they made fun of themselves, like bullet time. We need a new bullet time. There was no bullet time. They teased us with it, but I did not like that. Again, we got new characters, we got new people in the movie. Focus on them. And if you're not going to do that, you know, do very similar to the Terminator movies, immediately bring in the star of the show and have them whoop behind. They did it with Arnold Schwarzenegger, Terminator 2, all the Terminator movies. He just comes in, starts blowing people's kneecaps off, you know. I think they should have done that. But I do like it.
Yeah, so bullet time was never mentioned in the movies. Bullet time was a name given by film critics to describe what they did.
Effect. Right.
So it's weird that the character would mention bullet time.
Bullet time, right.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Which also sort of points to this, like, once again, if the director was going to is playing with like the diegetic boundary, right? If you may, right? So like the film world and then the outside world, the audience world. If the director was playing with that boundary by mentioning bullet time, she wasn't doing enough. Like it wasn't. It needed to be more. If
you know what you are, just go ahead and let them know. Say, hey, I know what I am. Like South Park knows what it is, or Deadpool, he knows what he is, and he breaks the fourth wall all the time. And being this movie needed to be a little bit more self-aware, all outright, you know, versus like, oh, we're gonna tiptoe around and beat around the bush, letting you know that we know what's going on. It's again, especially with. I was pleasantly surprised with. I thought Neo was going to be a movie actor because remember, Cypher. He was saying when you put me back into the Matrix, make me famous. I want to be a movie. I want to be a movie star. Blah blah. I thought that was what they were going to do that with Neo. So that took a spin. But him being a programmer, that's when I was like, I don't know. You should have went all out to let us know. You know what you are. That's what I think.
All right, excellent. Lindsay, we'll go ahead and get your number one. What do you got?
I guess I'll go with one of the things I was talking about. It's kind of in this same vein that we're talking about right now. Because to me, I do see how it was a acknowledgement of the fans, but I don't necessarily wouldn't necessarily say that it's like a love letter to the fans. It's an acknowledgement for liking the characters and thanking you. But to me, it reads as a like almost a commentary on us not letting characters die. This incessant need to continue rebooting and continue to get trilogies and
like Luke Skywalker. Who said that?
Yeah. I mean, I'm only one of the first ones that like says that there's with how they handled the sequel trilogy. Storyline wise, it pisses me off.
Right.
I think I've said it on this podcast several times. Like that last movie, if they changed a few specific plot points, just like 2 or 3 of them, and not made it so Skywalker focused,
exactly,
it would have been phenomenal. But I mean, me and you can have a debate about Star Wars at some point. Because I do agree with some of what you say, but also at the same time, I disagree with.
I'm going to protect my franchise.
I've been a Star Wars fan since I was a very small child, and get an entire bookshelf of Star Wars merchandise here.
So, Lindsay, one thing I want to ask you is, did you think that it was successful? If it is a commentary on the art form, right? If it is actually a commentary on the art form, do you think it was successful?
Come on.
I think it's one of those. It's kind of on this like strange line because it has been so long since the first trilogy came out.
20 years.
And the trilogy, even though it's The Matrix is one of those trilogies that everybody knows about, but not a lot of people actually go back and watch unless they were watching it at the time it came out. Because it is a very niche genre and a very niche story. So people kind of know the gist of what's going on, but they don't watch it. So like I was having this conversation with my coworkers literally 2 or 3 days ago and over lunch, and half of us have actually watched the movies when they came out or shortly thereafter because we're old enough to have. And then we have a couple of younger coworkers who've never watched it before. And this was their introduction to The Matrix.
Wow. And
so for people that have watched The Matrix, I think it can potentially be successful. Because if you watched it and you're choosing to go back and rewatch or watch this, then that means that you probably liked The Matrix enough to understand some stuff and you can see this commentary. If this is your introduction, then it makes absolutely no sense and you're probably not going to pick up that commentary. Even if you like binge watch the 3 movies and then go into this one, you may not pick it up because you haven't had time to sit with it. So I think it is, again, can be very successful, can completely fly over some people's heads. I think they could have done some things to make this commentary a little bit more clear. And to even delineate a little bit more between this thank you for loving these characters that we created and we love as well. But here is what we think about you, like not letting it die when the studio's not letting it die. And how much of that was because of how Lana came into this movie, because she was not interested until she had some deaths in the family, from what I understand. So there was tragedy that prompted her to go into this.
Right.
How much of this is because it was only not Lana and not Lana and Lily together? And how much of this was back and forth between Lana and, was it Warner Brothers is the company behind this one?
Yeah. Right.
I don't know. So there's a lot of like little minute details that probably affected the success of it. But it is an interesting commentary in this time that we're living in, both in movies and in video games, because we talked about the Final Fantasy VII remake, and some of this discussion around it goes into the Final Fantasy remakes and stuff. Of this, like,
don't you do it, Ricky Bobby. Don't you do it. Being
so in love with these things and not letting it die, and not letting these characters that you, there's a film critic and academic that had a really interesting quote. And let me just get through this and I'll be done with my like little spiel. But she I don't remember the exact phrasing, but she says it's ironic that so many of these characters that we love are going through stories that are telling us that if you just have enough willpower, if you just try enough, you kind of blow up these obstacles and then you overcome it and you're done with it. And yet we keep dragging them back into this spiral of the same trauma in the story over and over and over again, because we love them so much, we won't let them get over it.
I mean, it comes down to the myth of Superman, right? There's a famous article written about how comic book characters can't die because they're so integral to our history, like our national identity. We need these heroes to go on, because if they don't, they're too important to us, right? They become so part of our national heritage, just like Sherlock Holmes, or even if you want to go Jesus, like they're so integral to who we are as a people that they can't die. We need them to go on.
And I wonder if the Matrix, the storyline and the characters are attached to it, hasn't become in some ways kind of that one of those superhero figures for like sci-fi, cyberpunk type genres. We can't let them die. It is now this like cornerstone that will forever be there.
All right, we'll go ahead and move on to Carrie. Carrie, I want to get your thoughts on this. What's your number one thing you want to talk about for the Matrix Resurrections?
Mine's in the same vein as everyone else's. It's story, or rather story structure. I personally think all movies are better as TV shows. And I was racking my brain because it has been 20 years, and I don't know who the audience for this is, and like, because I watched these movies the first go around, and I sat with my brother as we played all of the video games for hours and hours, and I don't know who this is for, and I get the meta commentary. That's some of my favorite parts, and to your point, Lindsay, I'm more interested in all of the conversations behind the scenes, because I want to know like what happened in those meeting rooms, like what happened, because like we have the scene with Neo with Agent Smith, like having that conversation. Warner Brothers wants to make a sequel. It's going to happen with or without us, so we just need to make a decision. So I'm like, I need to know how true that is.
Well, I think the director actually said that they had full-on movies planned already. They already had it all plotted out until Lana came in at just the right time that she was able to change the writing.
And I'm glad you said that, because I really did not like this, and I tried. It really bothered me. I was like, if they like did like a mini series, like a handful of episodes, like stretched it out, like I wanted to see more.
Yes, exactly. Take Bugs, take her on that freaking journey, right?
Yeah, and because there are a lot of things that happened, and I was like, oh, that's interesting, but then we move into a different thing. And I was
Right.
like, no,
Exactly.
go back to that other thing. And
Yes.
so that really bothered me. When the analyst is talking about actually resurrecting them, and we get to see a bit of that process. I was like, to me it feels really cheap that Neo and Trinity got put back together, and we didn't get to see those characters sit with that and like figure that out. Like, to me, that's a much more interesting story, and that's what I wanted to see.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I actually agree with a lot of you said there. So I agree with you, and I was actually going to mention some of this, but I'll mention one thing that I wasn't going to mention before that you kind of remind me of. Kind of going off of what you said about more interesting elements that they really don't even go into that much, or it just becomes backstory. I want to know about this robot civil war that happened.
Right.
That is far more interesting than anything else.
Yeah, they talked about it in the Animatrix. Like, they could have even gone as far as done a prequel instead and had talked about more stuff in the Animatrix when they blacked out the sky and all the other good stuff, or for that matter, how they rebuilt not Zion but the new place that they're at. They didn't talk about none of that stuff there. So I'm with you on that. I was going to say that later, but it does need to be a TV show. I'm definitely for that.
And I do wonder how much of this, although, is possibly them trying to lead us to buy the new Matrix game that's coming out. Because I wonder if
there's a new game coming out?
Yeah, The Matrix Awakens. I don't know when it's supposed to be. I know like next to nothing about it, but I wonder if they're not trying, because
they probably are, because like stuff like The Matrix, Star Wars, Star Trek, you name the sci-fi thing, it's He-Man for adults, and the reason why they made toys, they made the toy specifically for you to watch the cartoon, and you made the cartoon specifically so you can buy the toys. And look, he's looking at his toys there, and they would say the same, you would say the same thing about Marvel and all these other stuff, all these other movies. How much merchandise, how many video games, how many toys are being produced so that this cash cow can continue to produce cows. They're going to continue to milk it as much as they can. I mean, imagine how much money they made over the past 20 years after they ended the last movie, and now they're going back like, wait, hold on, we need to feed our cow again so it can produce some milk, And I think that's kind of what's going on there. It's like, yo, we're here goes the video game. We see, because there's a resurgence. I wouldn't say resurgence, but the industry figured out the formula for video games. Before they didn't. You remember the video game crash of 19 whatever, right? And now the industry figured out how to sell video games and continue to let them be good while at the same time hiking up the prices. We're buying digital games that are still 60, 70, 80 bucks. And there's no physical copy there, so they're still milking us for what it is. So I think that's what I'm with you, Lindsay. I think that's probably what they're doing also, is trying to get as much money out of the consumer and out of the fans as possible.
I wonder if that's why they sort of made him a game developer.
That might be it, to be a little bit more relatable. Who knows?
All right, well, excellent, fantastic. So, Acid, we'll go ahead and get to you. Is there any comments on our YouTube channel so far? Anything like that going on? No.
Just Candace. Happy New Year.
Okay.
She's watching with the fam.
Happy New Year, Candace.
All right, so Acid, what do you want to talk about?
It's my turn. Okay, I will say this: I love Keanu Reeves. Okay, I love Neil Patrick Harris. Okay,
he did a great job.
He did a phenomenal job.
All right, now hit me with the negative stuff.
Neo is dead. Trinity is dead. They could have done so much with this storyline. Bugs would have been an amazing main character. When you talk about the hero complex and how you want all these heroes to stay alive, like Superman and Batman, and how you keep rewriting all these stories, I don't think the hero in this story would have been Neo or Trinity. I think the hero in this story is the Matrix. That's what you need to keep going. That's what needs to, okay, so what I would have done, like, it's just so complicated. Like, did I enjoy the movie? As a movie itself, sure, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a great job. I think Keanu Reeves did a phenomenal job. I thought Neil Patrick Harris. I think everybody did a phenomenal job doing what they did, doing what they were given. Okay, they were handed a script. They were told to do it, and they did it flawlessly. Like they did what they could. It's not on their fault at all. Whoever was in charge of the story with this movie bombed it. That was a terrible, terrible idea. What I think they should have done, I'm kind of agreeing with the whole, they pushed Neo or Mr. Anderson being a video game, like graphic designer, I mean, they pushed it and they pushed it and they pushed it and they pushed it so many times that I noticed it. I was like, okay, we get he's a game designer. I got you. What are you trying to tell us here? Like, I really feel like the next story in this chapter is going to be in a video game, which if that's the way they were going, that's fine. But Neo is dead, guys. Let him die. Just let him. He's fine. He saved the world. He did all the stuff. If you want to bring back the Matrix, great, fantastic. Neil Patrick Harris is a phenomenal villain in this.
Yes, he is.
I thought he did great. Like, I was so excited when I saw two of my favorite actors like across the table from each other. I was like, this is going to be so awesome, But Neo, it didn't need to be Neo. It just didn't. And they could have taken like a reboot of, okay, well, the Matrix is back and has been redone. It's been rewritten because the Matrix doesn't end. The Matrix keeps going.
Exactly.
The Matrix just keeps rolling over and rolling over. Right. And Neo saving, everybody from the machine wars. I mean, let's be honest, that could have just been temporary. Like that was just another outcome. And Bugs could have been the one.
The new one, right.
Could have been the new one.
The second coming.
But I think since they went on this story, which, I mean, you can't change it now. Since they went on this story, the thing I think that bugged me the most was at the very end is that they made it look like Trinity was the one. Where she got all the flying powers and she got all the, I'm glad you're
where did that come from?
Like, where did this come from? Like, come on, like right at the close to the end when Neo tried to do the fly thing where he's like, oh, that's not going to happen. Like, he should have just took off right then. Like, it should have been like he's already had the battle with Morpheus, and he's already been in it for so long, and I think it's about time where you found yourself. It's like, oh, I found myself. Okay, it's time to fly. Boom. Oh, I remember this, and oh, I remember that. Like, you're already starting to like remember who you are. Is like, if you're going for this storyline, like right then, that should have been the badass scene where he took off, decimated everybody, and go on from there. But at the very end, it was like, oh, Trinity, oh, I got this.
Right.
Boom. Shoo. I'm like, come on. That ticked me off more than anything because Trinity is not the one. Neo was the one. Okay. Like,
I'll buy that.
Yeah. I mean, does that make sense? Like, they wrote it to where Neo was the savior of the Matrix, not Trinity. Not both of them together, okay? Not both of them together. Neo, okay? Like, that was it. Like, if it was going to be the dynamic duo to begin with, they should have wrote that to begin with, but they didn't.
Right.
So,
I
think that's what.
But I think that goes to Kerry's point. There's like, no, there needed to be a whole lot more explanation to a lot of that stuff that was there. But again, I'll still argue. Doesn't mean it wasn't enjoyable. I still enjoyed it.
It was enjoyable. I just don't think it. I think it was a good movie, but it was not necessary for the story they went to.
Right.
They could have left Keanu Reeves and Carrie. I can't remember her last name. Completely out of it. They could just.
Yeah, absolutely.
Didn't even need them.
Right. Yeah. I mean, shoot, look what they did with Morpheus. I'm like,
Yeah.
yo, that was freaking genius. I was just like, boom. Oh yeah. Good freaking job on the reset there. That was a great reset, you know? So that's an easy way to explain that away.
And they even had the statue. Yes, Morpheus 1.0. I mean, it was right there.
Right. Absolutely.
That was fun.
But even then, to the other point, I think some of this is also they had 2 Matrix games, right? They had Enter the Matrix and they had Matrix Online. Enter the Matrix, it wasn't a failure, but it had a lot. It was glitchy, right? And then we had Enter the Matrix. That was supposed to be the sci-fi, the sci-fi version of World of Warcraft, and it kind of fell flat on its face. So I think they saw like the potential, especially with what's going on with Grand Theft Auto, Red Dead Redemption, and you're talking about metaverse type stuff. I think that's kind of like the direction they're going in with this.
They could have completely left this movie out.
And let that be told in the game.
And let it be told in a video game. I think The Matrix as a video game, if they approached it as an Assassin's Creed, an action adventure game with a never ending if you look at I'm bringing up Assassin's Creed again. I mean, Lindsay was talking about Valhalla earlier, but if you look at Assassin's Creed Odyssey's quests, like system and how that works, it doesn't end. Like they can just keep going. Absolutely. Like they don't ever end. And I think
like Pokemon.
Yeah, and I think if The Matrix would have taken that as just a complete video game and have your main story and all your little side stories, and then once you hit end game, there's a ton of end game because end game never ends.
Right. It got replay value. You just hit prestige.
And so they could have
all your
made
stuff's gone and you start
ass ton of money from that. They could have just raked it in.
Right. Absolutely.
In their thrones, and they could have just been holding all the money. Like cosmetics, I smell it, cosmetics and all the other stuff. I mean, they could have just went with it, but they decided to fail it in the movie. So did I hate the movie? No. I did not hate the movie.
So very good. So that was we all did one, right? We're doing 2 more. We might have to stick with just one more.
We're already at 1 hour and 6 right now, Anthony.
All right. So one thing, maybe we'll just do one more. We'll have one more thing that we want to say. There's a couple of things that I did want to say. But I want to go ahead and move my third one up because this is my opinion on the Matrix Resurrections. Is I liked elements of the film. However, the different elements I liked are not compatible with each other. Mm-hmm. So I like this part of the film, and if you were going to go with that, go with it for the whole film.
Right.
I like this element of the film, but if you're going to go with that for the entire film, right? So this is so I talked about the meta commentary and how I sort of like that. And if you were going to do a whole film on that, I actually would have been on board. Now this is going to be my other, this is the other thing I'm going to talk about, because if you want to do this, then the whole film needs to be this. And I'm going to 100% disagree with Acid. I loved the idea that not Trinity, but the couple were the one and not Neo. Nope. That makes so much more sense.
It does not.
Right? And yes, it's a retcon. And yes, it is a complete retcon because yes, in the film and Matrix all the 3 films, yes, he's sort of he's clearly the one.
Anthony believes in true love, ladies and gentlemen.
Right. He wasn't able to fully function until he got with Trinity. Like his full power was recognized when he went with her. All right.
If you go back, if you including this particular film, if you go back and rewatch them after what we just saw in this film, then it's the love between the two which gave him the power. And you can clearly see that throughout the whole franchise, right? And you know what? I liked it because the one in the Matrix is such a cliche thing now. It's so
everybody's the one.
Everyone's doing it so even in Dune, although the books are a little bit different, but there's so many of the characters you're destined to be
Highlander, Mortal Kombat,
Star Wars, Mortal Kombat, all of these films where you have this one character who has this inherent power, who's trying to figure himself out, and then he gets the power, and then he wins. Yeah, that we've heard this story.
Right.
However, if you make it to where no, it's not just Neo, it's the two of them together. There's a couple things that happen, and then what ends up happening is
I feel like rings should be involved when you do that.
there are clear limitations to the. Hold on, Acid. Hold on. Then there are clear limitations to the power.
Right. Yeah.
Because if you separate the two, that makes it so much more interesting of a story.
Right.
If you are somehow able to separate them, then you completely negate the power. That makes it so much more interesting, right?
Right.
And it also makes sense in terms of like how this was not expected, right? Like this particular a code, like this particular event was never supposed to happen, right? But it's just the love between the two characters which gave them the power. So it makes total sense. And
okay.
It's actually
All right. Look, why don't you just expand it a little more? Why don't you just say that, okay, well, Trinity's part of this power. Why don't you say Morpheus is part of this power because he found Neo? Why don't you say that Cypher is part of this power because he's the one that betrayed them all? Like, why don't you just link all these powers together in order to make Neo the one? Because none of this would have happened without any of them.
Here, I'll answer that question. Because Neo was never supposed to be the actual one. It was a myth, but the love between the two characters made the story real.
With the help of everyone else.
Right. So Morpheus.
So this is an Avengers type thing. Is that what you're saying?
So Morpheus was attempting. What I'm trying to say is, if you were going to go this route, you should have started from the very beginning, right? So Trinity should have already started to, like, you should have already started hinting towards this from the very beginning of the film. That, hey, look, all of your expectations of who the one was kind of wrong from the very beginning. So once again, either you do the meta commentary or you do the Trinity.
Yeah, you got to pick one, right?
You do the power couple story.
So overall, you're saying pick one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
go. You know, Lindsay, we'll go ahead. Go to you.
Yeah. So like, I'm sorry, I'm going to cut in front of you, CJ, for this one.
No, you're fine.
It's in the same vein as
you're
this.
fine because I'm gonna piss y'all off again.
Because it's not. To me, it's not necessarily a story of true love. I did like Trinity having this, though, because to me, it's not necessarily like Neo was the one, but this isn't really Neo anymore. He is dead, resurrected by a machine, and has been reprogrammed by the machine a few times because he gets close.
Well, shouldn't even happen to begin with. Let's just throw that.
Yeah, so that's like a contradiction in the lore retconning stuff. But because it is in there, it is now telling you, okay, so this is no longer Neo. However, the connection between these two is enough to power this entire matrix that they have now made. It is the cornerstone of the entire matrix. So that is how they're being able to break things and redo things and mess with the code to get these powers. So to me, it makes sense that they have kind of this split of the powers. He has this like force field ability that he now has instead of bullet time. She's able to fly, and eventually it looks like they both get all of the powers by the end of the movie when they fly off together. So to me, I appreciated it because that was the breadcrumb trail that I was following, again, admittedly through the movie kind of being disjointed at times. But that was the breadcrumb trail that I followed, and I was like, that makes sense, and I like that. Because no longer the same people. It is not, it is again, kind of a Christ allegory, but they've moved a little bit away from the Christ allegory.
Right.
In this movie. And
which they needed to do.
Yeah, they needed to do. It's been overdone at this point with all of the big franchises.
Like freaking what's that freaking secret closet movie, Narnia? Like Jesus Christ.
Of course, that's
the secret closet movie. Narnia. That is the best description of a film. The secret closet movie.
But to me, I did like that, and it also plays into the growing kind of theme that you see with Keanu Reeves movies of him acknowledging his age as he's moving forward.
Yeah.
This is also a story of a man acknowledging he is now older. He has lost a step, but now he has a partner that is able to help balance everything out.
When they remake The Karate Kid in 20 years, Keanu Reeves will be Mr. Miyagi. I will throw that one out there right now.
I would watch it. But so that I did appreciate that. And so that was like one of the things I was going to talk about. And I'm just going to throw this like last thing and cheat my third thing because it's a very easy, small thing. I just really enjoyed that it was also kind of a Sense8 reunion. I love the Sense8 TV series, and there was like 4 or 5 actors that was brought in from that into this movie. So it's kind of, you can see the Wachowskis having this like cult of like actors that follows them from project to project forming, just like you have with Wes Anderson of this like group of actors that follows him from project to project. And so that was a nice, fun little Easter egg for Wachowski fans of seeing these actors in there. But yeah, so that's I overall kind of like you said, Acid, good movie for just film goer.
Yeah.
Mixed opinions as a Matrix fan. And very much I see them laying the tracks, even though the Wachowskis again have said they're not coming back. They said there's not a plan for a trilogy this time. They just wanted to make another one. There's
going to be another one.
I see the railroad tracks being like laid for all their future franchising.
Yeah. It's
all about the money. Yeah.
Let me say this one more thing before we get to MD Soul. And I want to defend my defense of the.
You've already you got your PhD. Let's move on. Okay.
No,
You're such a professor.
It's not an inherent quality that makes you the one. It's your connection with other human being that makes it powerful. But also, I believe.
Oh my gosh! All right, you love Bird. Let's go to MD Soul.
I also believe.
Let's go to CJ.
Hold on. I also believe
Let that man be great.
I wish that they would have both have died at the end of the film.
They were dead anyway. Okay, go ahead.
So Neo and Trinity needed to die so that we could, if you wanted to continue the story, you continue with the other characters. MD Soul, go ahead.
All right, so all right, so this is my actual gripe. Again, as I said before, I love the movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was a love letter. They're talking directly to me, so I enjoyed it. However, what I did not like is they didn't acknowledge the advancement of technology. And I think that's
thank you.
I think that's a really important piece. Like even I'll go back to Star Wars and mess with Lindsay a little bit, but like even Star Wars acknowledged the advancement of the technology, and things are different now. So with the Matrix, it's been 20. There's so many technological things that have changed. They referenced it with Morpheus or whatever with that technology. However, like I think it was a cheap way out to say, oh, now we don't have to go to a telephone booth. We can just jack you out or whatever. Don't say that out loud. But we can.
What was that, MD Soul? You can jack you out.
right. You know what? Disregard. But at the end of the day, they really need to put emphasis and acknowledge the change in technology that was there. Because I think it was cheap, because the nostalgia also was the technology and remembering all the stuff that was back then, and then with it being the Matrix and their robots that are or machines or AI that's over it. They could have left the Matrix in the 90s. And I think they should have left the Matrix in the 90s and still make reference to certain things, because in a sense, when that's how we are as human beings. There's a lot of people that haven't left the 60s. Everybody has that one person that they know, whether it's the lady at the diner or whoever that's out, the mail lady or whatever, mailman, they are stuck in a certain era. And they refuse to leave that particular.
But having that moment would be a huge smile on their face.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that should have been the story of where going back to Ant here is the Trinity and Neo. They're stuck in the past. They don't understand this new Matrix. They're here to help and guide you along. That's what our parents are for. That's what our mentors are for. But they're not here to take over and keep with the reins and keep up with everybody else. That's why Hulk Hogan isn't successful in the WWE anymore. That's why The Rock is a movie star now and not in the WWE. So I think it's like, all right, now it's time for me to pass the torch. Here you go, Bugs. I'm thank you for taking me back out of the Matrix, and now I'm gonna be your guide. They had Niobe with Jada Pinkett's character. She was a guide and a mentor, and they should have had more of that mentorship there. Not necessarily explain, because we know what the technology is, but still going back, acknowledging that there's been so many. In the Matrix, it's been 80 years. She said it's been 80 odds. Did she say 80 years?
Yeah.
So now she's like 100 odds years
60
old.
years.
60 years. She's like, it's like she needs to acknowledge that, hey, technology has changed. We have this, we have that, and Neo, we need, all this stuff is different. So that's just they touched it, and going back to Anthony, pick one. You touched a little bit here, there, your knowledge right there. You see the French dude, he got old. The Agent Smith, he got old and crazy. His upgrades. He's a new handsome guy. There's a whole lot of upgrades in the Matrix that now going to Carrie, I was like, no, you should have acknowledged that easier if you did a Netflix series. And so that you can be successful. And then going to Lindsay, it's like Star Wars did it. They filled a whole lot of plot holes by having the animated series. Of course, the Matrix had the books, but animated series. They had all sorts of TV shows.
Nobody
they had all
reads
sorts
books.
of specials.
Come on.
Well, yeah, but that's what I think. I still love the Matrix. I'm going to continue to love the Matrix. But as a fan, of course, I'm going to say the things that I would like to see and to make it that much more better. I don't think that was good grammar, but I'm sorry.
I think we all sort of agree on one thing, is that one thing that we enjoyed about it was like the extension of the Matrix mythology in terms of
yeah.
Like, this is where we're at now. We were here then, but now look, things are far more complicated because there was a civil war that happened, and now robots are on our side now.
Right? Yeah, they didn't. That's a whole movie by itself.
Exactly.
Well, I am more on Carrie's side with make this stuff like you were saying, a Netflix series.
Yeah.
It could go on like The Witcher, like just go.
It could go forever.
It could go forever. I mean, you'd never be able to end this thing. Carrie
Grey's Anatomy's been on for how long?
Like 17 years.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
That's shout out to my wife there.
But like I've started watching like Witcher season 2, and like it's just like those kind of things. I mean, you could have done The Matrix with that easily,
Right.
without having to do this movie and with all new characters, and no one would have been mad at all. So.
Well, shoot, the template is The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings and shows, and for that matter, Marvel. Those are the templates. I don't know why they don't use the things that are guaranteed cash cows and also keep the fans happy.
All right, well, fantastic. Excellent. So, Carrie, we'll go ahead and get to you. What's one thing you want to talk about? What's your second thing and final thing that you want to talk about?
Well, all of my things have been said, which was the next thing, the technology, and they didn't acknowledge any of the new and changing technology, and because I was having another conversation with my sister about this, and I was like, wouldn't it have been fun if they had just done like Children of the Matrix, like acknowledge the new generation, like let's go forward, and like even have like Neo be a residual programming. He can't come into this next thing because the programming doesn't match up with the new thing.
Right. Oh my goodness. Thank you.
Like my brain has been racing with just story ideas, and I'm just like I'm bothered because they keep stopping short of everything.
Right. Like they didn't need George Lucas to continue Star Wars. They don't need I digress. I'm sorry.
No, you're right. You're right. They don't, and I think a lot of fans are, and even not fans, just like storytellers in general, filmmakers in general, are smart enough to figure it out.
Yes.
And like even if you did an episode and just have that episode be those people in the room talking through, well, how do we do this? How do we get to the next part? Well, that doesn't make sense because we did this in this movie all these years ago.
Right.
And just have them like continue that meta commentary all the way throughout.
Yeah.
Like
pull a freaking Vegeta. Let me tell you how I became a Saiyan. Hey, Kakarot. I would, you're doing one of those things, man.
To me, it would have been much more interesting. I think the last thing is, and I'll probably upset you all, is that I did not like Neil Patrick Harris in this movie.
Oh,
really? What was the reason you didn't like him?
I don't.
He's gone.
Sleeves.
I can't put my finger on it. It's because
I love that guy,
knew
man.
I knew it was.
Too.
I love him as well, but I knew it was Neil Patrick Harris, and I didn't buy it.
Who would you have put in that role?
And this is interesting because I was like, they're bringing back these characters, but not these characters. So I'm just like,
I'm gonna get all close up too. Like,
I was like, wouldn't it have been fun if like he sheds off that Neil Patrick Harris persona and it's Lawrence Fishburne up under there?
That'd be crazy.
Wouldn't it have been fun? Like, or
that would have been nuts.
Something, or you bring
that
back
would not
Hugo
have been
Weaving. I was like, it's Hugo Weaving up under there. I was like, because I bought it for like a minute, and then I was just like, no, I don't see him as this villain. I don't get it.
Well, number one, Hugo Weaving flat out refused to return to this. They asked him. They tried really hard to get him to come back for something. He flat out refused.
Why did he say why?
I don't think he said it in what I was reading. It probably will come out though eventually, as all things do.
Because they didn't give him $20 million.
I think Hugo Weaving is one of those actors where once he does something, he's done. Like he's not gonna obviously he never came back for in game to reprise his role as Red Skull. Like once he's done,
you're right. Yeah, you're right.
He's done. Like he's not going back.
He hasn't been in any more Lord of the Rings.
He was in The Hobbit.
Did he come back on The Hobbit? I thought
he was in The Hobbit. That's right,
he was.
Okay, my bad. Stop yelling at me.
But I do kind of see where you're going. Like I liked Neil Patrick Harris in this. However, Neil Patrick Harris has become kind of typecast in some ways as the bad guy. Like I think I'm smarter than you, bad guy.
Yes, exactly.
In a lot of movies. And he is such a good actor that he can do a lot more than that. But he's just doing that all the time.
So he does a very good job of it.
So it is in that like catch-22 of he does it so good that you enjoy it, but then at the same time it's like I would like to see you do something else.
I mean, but technically he was kind of groomed to be that way. I mean, with him being Dookie Howser, it was just only natural that hey, I'm this smart kid, everybody praised me, and then he's growing.
But how cocky he was in How I Met Your Mother was so good. Like how cocky he was. Like that was amazing.
Yeah, he was groomed to be a cocky type guy. In the movies,
it was supposed to be that way. And some of his Tony performances that he did during right before the awards and stuff were so good.
Or Series of Unfortunate Events. I loved him in that.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. He was great.
I mean, if they would have just done a TV show and gave us an episode with his backstory, and then you get to see it, and you get to see all the decisions he made.
It's a little bit more believable. I get you.
Exactly.
I got you. I still believed it, Carrie.
All right, very good. I think we all sort of agree that there are elements of the film that we wish were extended longer. And we had there was more time to sort of develop those ideas rather than being in a lot of ways this assortment of different ideas that didn't really come together very well. But we'll go ahead and Acid. We'll go ahead and get to you. What's your last thing you want to mention?
All right,
about
this
the
is the last thing I'll say. It's pretty quick. Me being the last person and all.
Screw you all.
I think this should have just been a video game. I don't think it should have been a movie at all. I think they could have done a better job with it narratively as a action adventure RPG-ish style.
MMO.
I don't want to say MMO. MMOs are going bye-bye very soon. With the fall of New World, I don't think Ashes of Creation is going to do very well. WoW's dead, all that kind of stuff. So I think MMOs are kind of falling with. But anyway, I think this would have done better as a more interactive entertainment, as far as just a visual entertainment, being being a movie or whatever. I think if you could even done like a create a character type situation with one of these. With this video game, where you could have made yourself, or some hero that you see, and then that story could have continued on from how they're doing it now, DLC to add on to cosmetic to whatever you want to call it. I think they should have just not even done this movie at all. Granted, I'm not saying I hated it at all. I mean, I think it was entertaining to me.
Right.
But I think it would have been more entertaining as something I could have been in, as much as I love video games, something I could have been a part of, something I could have submerged myself in. Exactly. Something I could have just, made my own character, did the things that they, threw at me and that kind of stuff. So yeah, that'll be my final say. This should have been a video game, not a movie.
I'll buy that.
All right. Well, very good. I think we sort of talked about the Matrix Resurrections enough. Fantastic. I will say this. One final thing that I'll say about the Matrix Resurrections is the fight scenes were kind of boring.
Yeah, I agree.
Like I felt like they were really interesting. John Wick fight scenes are more entertaining than any of the fight scenes in this particular film.
Final Fantasy VII Remake
were like way up here, though.
Fight scenes were
so it's like I don't think they could have done anything to satisfy anybody, knowing that one of the best cinematic fight scenes was on the road in Matrix Reloaded, right? When they were fighting on the road with the Ghost Brothers, they were jumping on cars. That was by far.
Where were they at? Where were E2?
I know, right?
Like, where were they at, man? I was waiting.
That was by far. So there's nothing that can top it. It's almost like saying, Jackie Chan in his movies, he's never gonna be Jackie Chan that he was before. And you have all these expectations of a Jackie Chan movie. You're just not gonna get it. It is what you're not going to get another Jet Li, Once Upon a Time in China type of movie. Is it that? I can't remember. Neither here nor there. But you get what I'm saying. It's like we're just not going to get because our expectations.
Where was the Keymaker? Where was they were just opening doors for no reason. Like didn't even need a Keymaker. Just we're going to go through this door back here.
They didn't acknowledge the technology. I'm like, geez, man.
Yeah.
So I don't think and then there was only one fight scene. It's like major fight scene. There was only one major fight scene. It's like, come on, bro.
All right. Well,
I did like
good.
that
Excellent.
he kicked his jaw off at the end. That was cool.
As you can see, the bags under Anthony's eyes. He is tired and ready to go to bed, as you can tell.
So by the way, we're
done
with the White Claw surge.
You're done with your White Claw.
So we know that is the end of the episode.
He finished that an hour ago.
For Hemdy Soul, for Carrie Folks, for Lindsay, for Acidtrain, I'm Anthony Nanar. That is our episode. Thank you for listening. Listen to us on Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. You can also check us on YouTube and Twitch. Goodbye, everybody.
See ya.